Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of Deckin Around Kickstarter Edition. Today, we're going to be taking a look at any decks that have funded in the past 7 days, any new decks to Kickstarter in the past week, and any decks that are going to be ending their round of funding in the next 7 days. But before we jump into it, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel.
And please ring the bell.
So Steve, I gotta say, now that we're back into the new year, it seems like we're actually getting a lot more new decks, which is exciting, man.
Yeah, I'm excited too. Last week was a little slow, kind of, not really,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's good to see if they're gonna, amp up as the coming weeks hit us. But
Yeah. So let us take a look first at a quick word from our sponsor here.
Hummingbird Feathers mimics the shimmer of a hummingbird in motion, meticulously created with a specialized printing process using multiple holographic foils. Stunning tuck design and sculpted embossing with master letterpress creation, featuring limited, standard, and gilded 3-deck sets. Pre-order yours today at marvelousdecks.com.
All right, and let's check out what decks funded this week. First off, congratulations to Immortals Puzzle Quest playing cards. Congratulations to the Women of History playing cards deck. Congratulations to the Nobel Series playing cards Chemistry Edition. And congratulations to the Harmony Back playing cards from Arcadia playing cards, which will have funded by the time this airs.
Christian.
And ending in the next 7 days, we have the Balloon playing cards, the BPC prototypes. And we have the Fall Reflections playing cards from Brown Bear decks. All right, let's check out what we got going on new this week, man. First off, we have the Royal Pizza Palace playing cards. That's a mouthful.
Royal Pizza Palace playing cards.
I gotta say, these are some really vibrant decks. Riffle Shuffle deck, which is always a nice, interesting thing to see, using their creator space, which is usually where they bring in new artists and everything to really kind of test the waters with them. So that kind of explains a little bit why this isn't as wildly popular as a normal Riffle Shuffle deck. Usually these are like testing grounds. I can see right off the bat, it looks like an interesting cut. They have like the hole punches for the gilding on the sides, which I think is always a cool thing to see.
Yeah.
Right, let's see what we got here. So
it's kind of mimics a pizza box.
Yeah. This is it's weird. As much as it's a pizza theme, for some reason the colors to me scream very much like jungle.
I see that. Yeah. Kind of like African jungle.
Yeah, like you get like the bananas and that very vibrant like tropical green. It's an interesting looking deck though.
Yeah.
Let's see what we got here. Interestingly enough, too, it looks like that even though these are renders, like the gilding on the sides there looks different than what we saw up top where it was green.
Those are the standard. The holes are in all the tucks. Those are the standard
Okay,
ones.
that would be why it doesn't look like it's a green gilding there.
Yeah, yeah.
All right.
Little brick oven in the front and the center.
And a gold and a green gilding.
Detail. Yeah.
Veggie edition versus cheese edition. See, now, and here's interesting. Something we were just discussing yesterday in our live with the Jerry's Nuggets, the idea of a yellow gilding. And here, obviously, this is a render, so it'll be interesting to see what the final product looks like. But that's a yellow.
Yeah, it looks yellow there, but it's probably
gold. Yeah, well, and it even says, though, Gilded Cheese Edition yellow. So, be interesting to see if they actually find a yellow. That would have been the yellow to use on the Gilded Jerry's Nuggets that just dropped, too, if it's feasible.
I mean, I guess it technically is yellow. Once you start putting like metallic on it or foilish, kind of that look, it looks gold anyway.
No, I don't know. To me, this distinctly looks yellow to me versus like a gold, which I think has more of like a brownish hint to it,
Yeah, no, I mean, I totally agree, for sure.
Let's see what we got here. Freshly made in a custom oven. I love that they really went hard with the pizza theme here. Like, they really tied it in. Yeah. And, obviously, as we'll say with most campaigns from Riffle Shuffle, this is clearly a Riffle Shuffle campaign. This is well put together. They have information in it. They have the pictures in it. The one thing that I do wish we had seen already was who's going to be printing and who's fulfilling. There we go.
There we go.
So
TWPCC.
Yeah, TWPCC, which honestly I love the feel of their card stock, so that's always an exciting one. And then fulfilling with Gambler's Warehouse. We always say this with Riffle Shuffle, and I think this is the one area where it would be helpful if they did it, is just putting that little summary section up at the top with the bullet points to say, this many print run, printed by X, what stock it's using, who's going to fulfill it.
Yep.
Otherwise, this is looking like a good deck. What are we looking at price-wise? 17 shipped for the standard. That's not bad.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good price.
Yeah. Yeah, for something that's got, fully custom courts and everything across the board, definitely not bad.
Yeah. What's their, I mean, we probably don't know yet because it probably comes in later, but do they have the gilded on here? They're probably just, in one of the sets, you can probably just,
so it's not going to launch until the 26th. Yeah.
Probably $25. That's what their usual gilded goes for.
Yeah, they're usually pretty reasonable with their gilded decks anyway, so be interesting to see how that does. Yeah, this is not a bad looking campaign at all. Good job, guys.
Yeah, if you like pizza and this is your style, then go for it.
Yeah, absolutely. Good luck. All right, next up we have the Majestic Imperial Luxury Playing Cards by MMPC. Maximum Majesty Playing Cards. Interesting. Let's see. Essential for collectors, stunning medieval Renaissance inspired artwork in this special limited edition deck, only 2,000 printed.
Cool. I like how it says essential for collectors. It doesn't say collectors, magicians, cardists, poker players.
I think there could have been a better word choice than essential, but I do agree it's good that they know who their target market is here.
Right.
Oh, look at that. Inspired. We spoke too soon. Brings you a limited edition deck for collectors, card players, and magicians.
Oops.
Yeah.
I recant.
Yeah. So I don't think necessarily this deck is really geared towards magicians or card players. This is not something you would pull out for your poker night. And it's a little too ornate and eye-catching for something for like a standard card magician just because it's distracting. That being said, let's check out what they got here. So, avid collector of playing cards and Kickstarter super backer with a background in classical and I wanted to debut my deck as special as possible to achieve such a beautiful deck. I combined my own design concepts with 2 other artists to bring out the final best product we could create. Cool. Tells the story there, kind of brings in the fact that he's a collector as well. I think that's really awesome. Talks about the fact that the entire project is A, a collaboration, but B, all fully custom. Let's take a look at the court cards here. The aces and faces of the Majestic Imperial series were designed by the brilliant character designer Senia Harlequin. I apologize if I butchered your name there. As with the rest, interesting. The one thing I mean,
I think the artwork's pretty good.
Yeah.
I think it's really cool. Definitely art heavy, and I think it's rad.
So the one thing that stands out
I like that they use different courts.
The one thing that stands out to me, though, is actually the pictures themselves. Having the subject of the picture so far away from, like, the front seems like to actually add weird depth to it, like the images are the background and the tea lights are the foreground. I think it's good that they added a little bit of character to their shots. Just an interesting layout to me.
Yeah, I dig it.
The artwork. And I like that they're touching on the suit reference there, which is really cool. Very unique style to it. I can't tell if it's like medieval or witches or plague era, but it's very cool. And I like the artwork. It's very detailed.
Yeah, those jokers are fun.
Nice back design. Good show on the tuck design. So the one thing I will say is, other than this picture here, you mentioned that all of the number cards are also custom. It would be definitely worthwhile to show them in more so than just this pile here.
USPCC.
Printed by USPCC, limited to 2,000 decks. Custom design. Package include fully custom tuck case with gold foil stamping and embossing. Cool. Premium cardstock, air cushion finish, traditional cut. Certificate of authenticity signed by the creator. Cool. So the one thing I'm curious about too, and this is really interesting, this gold here around the pips looks so vibrant. Hopefully it still looks as vibrant being a standard ink printing, or is that going to be metallic ink? Maybe that's
one of the stretch goals.
So this is the other thing, and we've said this in the past. Stretch goals remaining a mystery until unlocked is a terrible idea. The purpose of a stretch goal
Yeah.
is to continue momentum in your project so that people who are already going to back it want to back at a higher level to get those goals unlocked. If people don't know what those goals are, there's literally zero motivation. The
Yeah.
the idea of mystery driving people to spend more is not really feasible in this scenario unless they know even slightly what they could possibly be. The reason a mystery deck works is because you know what 15, 20, 100 decks you could possibly get. In this scenario here, you don't know anything about what they could be. Could it be a tuck seal? Could it be gilding? Could it be metallic inks? Could it be, more custom embossing and foiling on the tuck box? Those are all selling points for the deck that you want people to be motivated to hit that goal in order to unlock it. So
Yep.
that's a very difficult thing to put a mystery stretch goal there. I would highly recommend you start teasing those out, or at least getting out there what they are, and you may see an actual bump from that.
Yeah, I agree.
Good information that you put your Instagram and your
Socials.
socials up
Yeah.
there. This, I will also say, is a not the right approach to risks. There are virtually no risks. That's a lie. As a first-time creator, you have more risks creating playing cards than anyone else out there, no matter how familiar you may be with the printing process. But look at some of these creators who have been doing this for years, who are established, who got hit with delays and problems due to COVID, who got delays and issues because their stock wasn't right, or the decks weren't right, or something was done incorrectly, or they missed something in the proof. There are a ton of things that can go wrong. Acknowledging them is the most important part. I think when you talk about risks and challenges, the best thing you can do is acknowledge the issue, acknowledge how you'll handle the issue, or the fact that you are aware that it's a potential and you're doing everything you can in order to minimize that risk. Saying that there's virtually no risks, to me, is just not the best way to approach this when transparency is the key.
And it says virtually no risks, and right underneath it, it's kind of laid
Yeah,
out.
you talk about the
Printing,
risks, yeah.
fulfillment. So he's pretty much talking about what the risks could be, and so having that virtually no risks there is
Yeah.
not beneficial.
Yeah, I mean, it's better to admit that there are risks than downplaying it. People know there are risks. Anyone who's backed the Kickstarter campaign is familiar with them. Let's check out.
We're looking at price.
Oof. So, fully custom, embossed tuck, foiling on the tuck. First time creator, that's a hard price point to pull, especially if there's no metallic inks or anything on it. 20 would have been the price point I would have gone for here, somewhere around there. $15 for the deck, 20 shipped. 22 puts you a little on the high side.
You don't want to hit over 20.
22 puts you in the territory of the deck itself really should have additional things like metallic ink, potentially foiling, almost getting into the range of gilding. So it becomes a higher price point. It's a pretty...
Yeah, I mean, I think with that price, definitely foil on the back at least, or metallic ink.
Yeah. And I think, the fact too that you're doing the dual deck for 20 each allows you to... It shows that there's wiggle room in the price point. I think 20 each would have made sense from the jump for a single deck.
Yeah, I agree.
4-pack, 6-pack.
Which is interesting too, because the fact that they said they're doing 2,000 of them.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of in that ballpark area of, you do 500 more, it could be crushed. You do, 1,000 less. It's
well. So I also think
the same price.
They limit themselves interestingly to not having a brick tier. In addition to that, and this is something where I think it's actually a smart move, but I don't think this is the right time for this one. Playing card design tutorial by creator. Receive a personal advisory session and step-by-step tutorial of all the requirements and business aspects of designing and creating a custom deck of cards. Learn how to bring your idea into existence from a playing card superbacker, designer, and creator. So this is, and someone actually backed it. Kudos to them. I think the interesting thing about this is your first time creation. Like, this would have been awesome for your second campaign or beyond, because you've successfully funded a campaign that's fulfilled in its entirety. You have experience to speak to the ups and downs of the process, to advise people how to avoid issues. using that as a campaign incentive now in lieu of a brick is also a very weird kind of decision there. I think the deck itself has a lot of potential. I think it'll fund. I think there's a
I don't think you get it. I don't think you get a brick in that.
no, you get a half brick still. There's no brick tier.
Yeah,
Yeah. So I think
right.
again, based on, and this is something we actually discussed the other day with someone, in a campaign as well, is going over 30 days is actually shown statistically that there's no more likelihood to fund going over a 30-day period than there were if you had stayed
Right.
at 30 days. So adding additional days while it seems like you're benefiting, it actually just draws out the time it takes for you to create the project, because now you have a longer time until you get the funding, until you can actually sign the contract and get the decks printed, things like that. So it's something to consider there, going for that 30-day mark. And also, like I said, there probably would have been a lot more interest in the $260 tier had this not been your first campaign, had this been your second or third campaign, and your name was a little more known within the community.
Yeah, and just be more aware of the amount of decks you're printing. Saying that you're printing 2,000, 2,000 decks is the same price as 1,000 decks, and then you look at the goal, that could be something that you're gonna lose out on a lot. After printing, 2,000 decks, let's say $5 with that tuck, it's 10 grand right there.
Yeah. So having that
Not
goal,
including shipping and the 10% that Kickstarter takes.
yeah. So those are all definitely very good points to consider here. Yeah. I mean, hey, I think the deck has a lot of merit. I think it's good looking, and I think the artwork is phenomenal. I can't wait to see how well this does and where you bring the next level from Maximum Majesty playing cards. But yeah, good luck.
Good luck.
Next up, we have the Composer's playing cards. Johannes Brahms, 5 of 7. So this will be a quick one. 6/4 playing cards is crushing these Composer decks. They're putting them out pretty quickly, and they do a really good job with their campaigns. Obviously, for the most part, these campaigns are pretty copy-paste. They gear them towards the specific composer for that one, but the layout and the structure is about the same across the board. If you dig these decks,
I love that purple one.
yeah,
too.
if you dig these decks or you've already bought into this series, you're likely backing this one as well. It makes sense. And they do a really good job with their imagery. I do wish they had a little more comprehensive imagery of the deck itself. So like if we take a look here with the cards, it's a little sporadic in the way they do it. So like showing like the King of Clubs and the Queen of Hearts, like cool, but they're not exactly like pairings that you'd normally see, or another king and a jack. Like it would have been nice to see all 4 kings, all 4 queens, all 4 jacks, all 4 aces, and across the board.
Yeah, I think like a lot of campaigns that we see. They kind of throw, especially if they're kind of standardish courts, they throw in a couple of the opposite suits. That way you can kind of see what the pips and indices look like. You don't need to see all the number cards. You don't see all the courts. You kind of get an idea of the design, seeing that they're using standardized courts. But it never hurts to share all those court cards just to give people an in-depth look.
Absolutely. And I think, again, this is one of those areas where more visuals never hurts, because people want to know what it all looks like. As weird as it could sound, someone could hate the way you did, the diamonds or something like that, or the way that they look on the format on the cards. Like people are very picky in collector communities. So things like that can make a difference. And being as transparent as possible makes a lot of sense. Printed and fulfilled by NPCC, talks about all their stuff there, gold foiling, embossing. I think, with all their campaigns as well, it's always helpful if they would put this towards the top just so people know these things off the bat. But again, they do a really good job with these, and I think they have a pretty solid
mold.
Yeah. So I got distracted by the risks and challenges there, because there's something here, Rishi E. Sfide. So I wonder if this may have been translated or something, because that first section there,
or copied and pasted, maybe?
But it's non-English there with an English layout for this for the most part.
Right.
So the one thing I would say too is always having a second set of eyes for spell checking and things like that's always important.
Yeah, I just wonder if that first word, the couple words before the project, was maybe a different project that they did, and that's the name of the project.
I don't know. Maybe.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
All right, so price point, we're looking at $24 shipped.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I think this is something we've seen with them in the past as well. Obviously, the shipping's a little bit higher because they're coming from NPCC instead of a local place like Gamblers or Art of Play or Murphy's, which are going to have better continental shipping within the U.S. But
right.
that puts you at a pretty high price point there based on the deck. The deck itself though does have, gold foiling and embossing, so it kind of fits into that range. I'd still say that 20 to 24 mark is probably the max, so they're pushing the high price point in my book on this one.
Yeah, no, I mean, I totally agree. I think they've built that price point out, and they have a following on the other campaigns. I think they're just selling it to, like you said, the existing
Yeah.
Collectors that bought the other ones.
And even at $21 shipped for the early bird, that's at the more desirable price point for this. So it's good though. I think and just to point it out here, I think it's really good that they have that much of a difference between the early bird and the standard, because it does motivate people to get in on the early bird instead of the standard, because you are saving enough money that it's worthwhile.
So. Yeah, and I mean, it's definitely at $13. These decks retail for $18 and they sell out super fast.
Yeah, and again, it's just that shipping's tough. But again, shipping from NPCC versus somewhere like a local distributor makes it a little different. And I think that's probably something maybe worth considering on their point, is looking at maybe a continental US fulfiller, depending on where they're finding the majority of their backers are. If the majority of their backers are in Europe and the international shipping on this is it's €7 everywhere. So
yeah.
So it's relatively flat rate, but it may be that for international backers, it's a little more cost effective. So,
right.
Cool.
Yeah. Good luck.
Good luck, guys. Next up, we have where are we at here? Illusorium Bicycle Playing Cards deck. Interesting 3D render style to it. Doing great on the goal, solid amount of backers. So we got jumps up. Let's see, actually, Bicycle Illusorium, 56 luxury hand illustrated playing cards, Elite Signature Collection, limited edition. So this is from Elite Magic. They've created several decks in the past, such as, let's see what we got here, the Royale Bicycle playing cards, which I remember, and then the Evolve. Yep. So this is right up their alley for sure. We're seeing more and more 3D render style decks like this, and I think it's a very interesting art style, because it definitely, you either love it or hate it in my book. You know, I like that they jump right in with the story though. Seek deeper meaning in Illusorium, and you'll come up empty. It is a place where anything goes and nothing is ever explained. Cool. They're setting a really cool stage for this, for the story behind the deck. Let's see. Some will shy away, refusing to accept.
It's like a fly.
What looks like
Doesn't it look like a fly?
What looks
on the back? It looks like a bug or a fly. The back of that tuck.
The tuck. Yeah, kind of. I can see that a little bit with the wings there. Yeah, and there's the eyes. Yeah, it's interesting. So, and I wonder how much of it is, meant to be open to interpretation. So not only is it like a 3D render, but it's a little bit of an abstract 3D render. Let's see. They have some really, and you can tell these are renders as well, because clearly they've got
that's gilded.
Yeah.
Sort of super limited premium gold edition.
Fashioned from genuine gold foil with gilded edges. So this is the interesting thing about this. Fashioned from genuine gold foil. To own this deck is the ultimate expression. So what I'm curious about there, and we've seen this in the past, USPCC is limited to printing one color on their back designs where they use Metalux. So this obviously has more than one color on it. I'd be curious to see, printed by USPCC. Yeah, so I'm curious to see what the actual back design for the gold edition would look like, because I don't necessarily think that this would actually work.
Go down? Dude, it says it's being printed on the web press.
Which, yeah, that's also incorrect. So, there's a minimum
of 15,000 on the web press.
Yeah. So even best case we've ever heard was 10, and 15 is really where they'll even start asking about it. So that's interesting. Special limited edition run of only 3,500 decks. So those points definitely don't fit. They also copied it here for this other one, saying they're only printing 288 decks. That would never happen on the web press either. It takes more time to set that up than it would be cost effective. Those decks would be hundreds of dollars each.
Well, that deck to me is literally the same deck. They're just gilding it.
No, but they're saying the back is foiled.
Yeah, I mean, USPCC is not going to print 288 decks.
Unit stake pay fast. So See, and actually interesting, now that we break into it, it looks like they're calling the gilding foil, genuine gold
Yeah,
foil with gilded edges. So it doesn't, yeah, it looks like it's just a gilded deck. So basically you're looking
yeah,
at 3788 decks printed with 288 of them being then subsequently gilded.
killed it.
Yeah.
Right.
So I think there's a little bit of confusion in this campaign here talking about, oh, and look, there's another edition though. So that then adds 432 decks only.
432.
That still doesn't get us anywhere near close to even the minimum of 10 or likelihood of 15.
Yeah, go up. So I'm thinking they're printing 3,500 decks, and then those other ones are deducted from that 3,500. That's what I'm thinking.
Okay.
Yeah. That's what I'm thinking. Who knows?
I don't.
It's confusing, so I don't know.
So yeah, and I think that's one of the things that needs to be addressed by this for sure is A, how are you printing on the web press at a lower quantity than they actually allow on it? Would you potentially be
Q1 quality doesn't even exist either.
So yeah, would you be printing significantly more and you're just limiting it to that? Like, what's the deal there? I think you need to address that. As for the Q1, yeah, we've discussed that in the past. Like, there is no variation in quality with USPCC. The web press, you are more likely to not get off registration because it also uses a different print cutting process than the standard non-web press printing. But yeah, the cost there is where the curiosity comes into play. Coins look cool. Luxury edition box looks really cool. Impossible bottles, nice. Yeah, I think the really cool thing about this is the deck really does look interesting if you're into that style artwork. But yeah, I think the questions about using the web press, if you're actually going to be using the web press, what the print runs are actually going to look like, and ultimately just confusion as to when you say there's gold foiling on that gold edition. Do you mean the gilding? Is there additional foiling? Is there foiling on the tuck? Is it on the back of the cards? Like, having that clarity in there is super important because then people actually know what they're backing.
Yeah. What are we looking at for price?
$20 shipped.
What's the is there prices on the other ones below it?
Oh,
Gold coin, okay.
So the premium gold deck is $40. And the standard and premium gold editions, where is the ruby? So I do not see...
there it is. Go up right there.
Yeah, but that's 2, 2, and 2, so I don't necessarily care about that. I'm curious if it doesn't... Yeah, it doesn't look like they're doing the ruby on their own.
There's a one of each.
Yeah, interesting. So yeah, I definitely think. Yeah. I mean, listen, it's good you mentioned Gambler's Warehouse. It's good that you're mentioning USPCC. Would have been nice to see the summary up top, but I definitely think there's some clarification needed as to what the gold edition and ruby edition actually entail, and the number you're actually going to be printing if you're going to be using the web press, or maybe you're not using the web press and that's from a previous campaign. And if that's the case, just edit it and make sure it looks good. So yeah,
you want to make sure that all the information that you're putting in here is correct. And obviously they crushed their goal, but it would be cool to see correct information in there.
Yes, absolutely agree. I think it's important to have that for all backers because you're gonna elicit trust from backers who haven't dealt with you in the past if you're giving the most accurate information. I think it's really important to do. And I know sometimes, especially if you've had successful campaigns in the past, it's easy and convenient to copy paste over, but you really do want to scrutinize with a fine-tooth comb all of the details that you need to make sure are updated between the two different campaigns. So good luck to you guys on this one. You obviously are crushing it. We're excited to see how well this does. Definitely take a look though at the web press stuff and clearing up the description on the gold edition.
Good luck.
Right, next up, we have the Pixel Kingdom playing cards, a 16-bit inspired deck. So this is actually a relaunch. Yep, this is a relaunch. Printed by USPCC, fulfilled by Gambler's Warehouse and 52 Wonders. Let's see what we got here. Which I dig this kind of like old school video game style that they've used with the artwork here. We saw a lot of 8-bit decks in previous times. To me, this kind of reminds me of like what you would see with like Disney's Aladdin on like Super Nintendo or something, you know? Like that's the vibes I get from it. I love that like old school video game style.
You know,
Uh,
that crown on the front kind of reminds me of the blue crown, the crown deck.
yeah. Yeah, I could see that a little bit.
Yeah.
Land from the Past, a land of fairy tales and legends, comes right in also telling a great story, which I think is exciting. And it talks about themselves, which establishes that more of an emotional connection with the creators, which I think is also key. The one thing Steve and I always talk about is the context of images. I think the apple's a little oddly out of place there, but otherwise, and it's a render, so it's an interesting choice of what to render into the image when you have like a dagger with a sheath, and then an apple.
Is that like an Adam and Eve thing, or
I don't, but
maybe?
that still wouldn't have any reference to the deck itself.
I know.
So,
I know. I have no idea.
so that's the one. I mean, listen, I think it's a great looking render. It's a well done render. I like the fact that you have the features up top there as well. Printed by USPCC, premium B stock, fulfilled by gamblers in 52, traditionally cut. Custom half brick and brick boxes for free. That's awesome. What the one thing I would say there language wise is I would say custom half bricks and brick boxes included, not for free, because free implies that there may be an additional cost at some point in time. If they're included with it, it's a value added. When it's free, it's still a value added, but the language kind of, and again, this is me nitpicking because language is something that I enjoy. So I think included would have maybe been a better verbiage there, but I don't think that makes much of a difference. Awesome that you mentioned that there's a potential for crush stock if the goal is met. The one thing I will say with a deck like this is I don't know that crush stock necessarily is an appealing stretch goal because this is clearly a collector's deck. More often than not, crush stock really has that appeal for the cardistry industry. That's where they find the biggest amount of crush stock is being utilized. So while crush stock does add somewhat of a luxurious texture to it, I don't know that it appeals to collectors in the way other things may, such as custom cases, boxes, foiling, things like that. This is a good...
And I don't think it needs to say crush stock and 1,000 print run. It's kind of repetitive. That could be just like one line with little information, like 1,000 print run, crush stock if we reach 20,000 stretch goal. That's it.
Yeah, well, I think they're doing that because then they need to increase the thing. But I get what you're saying there. Yeah, I think that's something where it's also important to consider though who your target audience is for when you're designing your stretch goals. Because I think with this case too, at 20,000 euros, you probably could have come up with a really more interesting stretch goal for collectors specifically, while still using standard premium stock. I mean, the premium B stock feels really good in hand. I enjoy it. I think it's a really nice stock in and of itself. We've actually seen some really great decks printed recently on the premium B stock that almost feel crushed.
The carbon diamond.
Yeah, that almost feel crushed. They're that soft. And they, if you obviously compare them to an actual crushed deck, there's definitely a difference, but in comparison to a standard non-crushed deck, they feel significantly better.
Yeah.
Fully custom aces, pips, cool. Good. I like this comparison showing a standard versus the custom. Really shows you how much effort and depth went into it. I think that's a great use there.
I actually love that comparison. That looks really cool.
Yeah, no, they did a really good job with that. See, and this is where images can be really powerful. The one thing I will say frequently, and even if it's just to put a little caption under it, is throw a little bit of text between images, even if it's like, custom King of Diamonds and Queen of Diamonds, just so that there's a little bit of a breakup, because otherwise it gets very easy to just scroll past the images when you get to a point where you think there's a lot of images sequentially. So something to consider.
I'm looking at the screen and like it's bugging me out because they're pixelated.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what? It's tripping me out. It's hard to get past.
I love it. I love it though. And I think this deck, I love the little custom pips that they put across the whole deck. I think those are beautiful looking. And it's funny because the 16-bit pixelation is so much harder to see than 8-bit. It really, almost at the right distance doesn't look like it's pixelated at all. Then you do get a little closer and you can see those, jagged edges. It's interesting.
Yeah.
Nice. Very cool.
What's the price come in at these?
Let's see what we got here.
Nice.
$20.
Nice.
$20.
Yeah, that's good.
So yeah, $20 shipped at a standard. Again, I think 18 to 20 is more than reasonable on this one. I think it's, fully custom.
Yeah, I mean, I would have liked to have seen 18 tops, but
and so here's the thing though too.
That $20 mark is
with the foil and embossing. And here's the thing too: if we take a look at the tuck, the foil and embossing on the tuck is pretty intricate. multiple foil colors. So it says, actually, let's see here. Tuck box, elegantly designed, featuring embossing in gold foil.
Just gold
So,
foil.
so all of the white, I'm guessing, in the center will be ink then. But yeah, that being said, like gold or foil and embossing to it does give a little more wiggle room in the price point. So that's why I'd say, yeah, that 18 to 20, I think makes sense. They're on the high end of it. Any over 20 would definitely be into a different territory there. But I think they really hit that price point well. Let's see what we got here. Got the stretch goals listed out, which I think is awesome. It has images for the stretch goals, which I think is also awesome. That apple just hanging out everywhere.
Maybe because we were talking about apples before the show.
Who knows? Who knows? Got some bread back there. It's interesting choices for some of the accessories in the renders, which is funny. Perfect add-on use.
I mean, they have a lot of information and they have a lot of options, a lot of add-ons, which I think is great. They have images of everything.
Yeah.
I think, there's your logos that we always say was great to add. I think the campaign's done very well.
So, and this is a very well done risk section. This is our first Kickstarter card project. However, with Gamblers and USPCC, we have very reliable support for production and fulfillment, so the risks are relatively low for you. We will keep the project regularly updated, information on the project production and delivery as and when we receive it. The risks for you, risks for us. Like, these are really good ways to touch on and make the risks acceptable but transparent as well. So really well done there.
Yeah.
Cool. I'm excited to see where this campaign goes. I think there's really a lot of thought went into this.
It's got a lot of backers so far.
Yeah.
Hopefully
keep the momentum going with it. Yeah. Yeah, good luck.
Good luck.
Next up, we have the Shinto Neko first playing cards for Japan Shrine Cats. So, that being said, too...
There's been several...
there's been a couple...
Neko playing cards, and people love it. They do really well.
No, without a doubt. I mean, you can see it from this one.
Yeah.
For anyone who's backing, too, obviously, stick around to the end to find out what decks Steve and I are going to be backing this week. But also, we'd love to see in the comments what you guys are really interested in backing thus far. Let us know down below, because we're always kind of curious to see where people's taste lies and what kind of things stood out to them as confusing or too high priced or things like that. So, let us know.
Tyler.
What's up?
Funded in 1 hour, buddy.
Cool. This has an interestingly low goal.
Yeah.
So let's see. Last time you... So this is the same company who did the Bastet playing cards. So we've seen them do some stuff in the past.
They have 5 created. What are the ones they create?
Let us take a look. Bastet, the Mouse Stones, Fight for Great Color Stones. So looks like 3 board games.
Nice.
And then 2 actual decks. So
I mean, that Bastet had 1,200 backers.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's awesome. I think this definitely touches on a different 481 on this. That's phenomenal.
Yeah, I mean, they got a lot of support, which is dope.
Jump right into telling a story. Cheer up. 2020 was a very difficult year. So they're creating that like common ground, which I think is a good way to build that emotional connection there. Why Shinto Neko gets into why they chose this deck of cards, ties it into their own story, but also the interest of people loving cats. Most people, some people.
Not me.
Yeah. Shrine Cats and their story, and it really is a fun style deck.
Yeah, I'd like to see a different back design. It's a one-way back design.
Is it a one-way?
Well, go down. What's that black card right there?
I think that actually may be like a special deck. I think there may be 2 decks in this, so we'll have to see. Let's keep rolling down.
That looks different than the red one.
Unique style playing card, premium finish and printing, full red foil on card back, and linen texture stock. So the one thing I would mention off the jump here is you're talking about the deck, but you're not actually mentioning who printed yet. You have this nice...
They're saying red foil, though, which is kind of...
Yeah, so I'm curious. And to me, though, that makes me even more curious about who's actually going to be printing the deck. So one of the things I would definitely throw into this features section is who's going to be printing, who's going to be fulfilling, what type of stock is being used.
Looks like that black card is a...
Yeah, it's an ad card of sorts, yeah. Very cool.
Yeah, there's that ad card.
And this almost looks like...
I like that. I like the back design better than that ad card.
Yeah.
And that's good. I'm glad they used that other back design.
Shinto Red and Soul Black.
And Shinto Red.
Hot stamped red foiling on the tuck. cool. Face and back design.
They're fun. They are
They are
fun.
really a fun deck, and I think for anyone who enjoys, the Neko cats, it's a no-brainer on this. Obviously depending on the price point, it looks like it might be a little bit pricey. So,
Oof.
it's that
I mean, it has
foil,
foil though on the back.
and yes, that does make it obviously a higher price point. I'm curious. I still want to know where they're being printed, though, and to me, that's one of the biggest
Yeah.
things. Um, so this is also an
Got it.
interesting kind of addition as well, the tour guide notebook. So I'm guessing this book has some sort of like information about the Shinto temples and your travel through Japan, which is really cool. Stamp collecting page, interesting pin.
Pins.
I'm always curious how pins do as add-ons too, because pins in and of themselves are such a big collector's item. So let's see what we got here.
All right, go up. Right there, printing specification. It doesn't say who it's printed by, though.
Yeah.
Metallic on cod front and hot stamp foiling red on the cod back.
Okay. Okay, interesting. Nice. Yeah, so I'd love to know who's going to be printing it.
Let's see, does it say here? Need to know. The first playing card got unique full bleed, every number, cute and colorful, red foils, two-top designs, premium edition. Worldwide. Oh, what's that say?
It doesn't have.
It doesn't say who's fulfilled and who's printed, which are the two need to know things for me.
Yeah, which is an interesting choice there. I mean, listen, I definitely think that having both of those there, even if you're self-fulfilling, is important to feature within this. People want to know who's printing it. Even from a collector point of view, knowing who's printing it is just as important as what it looks like, because that red foil may be phenomenal, but if you go with a notoriously bad printer whose foil work is garbage, you're going to lose all the detail, and then someone may not want the deck. So having that transparency as to who's printing and who's fulfilling is really absolutely necessary. Price point, we're looking at 26 shipped.
Yeah, I mean, it's close. I mean, it has foil back, metallic front. I think that's kind of a good price.
Yeah, it's a fair price point, though. Again, my concern is who's printing, because I'd be more than willing. Because I'd be more willing to put out that $26 price point if I know who's actually printing the deck.
Agreed. If that's if that's coming from Katamundi, $26 is good.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Shipped for a foiled deck.
Yeah.
Definitely good. Yeah, for sure. So not knowing, obviously, it's a little iffy for me, but
yeah.
Other than that.
But obviously you have good momentum,
luck.
And hopefully, you're getting a lot of repeat business from your other backers. So I'm glad to see this is doing well. Definitely consider, though, printer and fulfillment in the information, because it is important to know. Otherwise, good luck on this campaign.
Yeah, I mean, it might have 35,000 funding if it had those two key information.
All right, next up we have Ring of Fire playing cards.
I don't think these are really playing cards.
It says playing cards.
For a drinking game. It's literally for a drinking game.
Well, that's no fun.
Yeah, no. Good luck.
Well, I'd say have more information, and if anything, I mean, I don't know what your drinking game is, but it looks like you do have the standard cards there, which could be used for playing cards. It's perfectly fine, but have more pictures of it, show more of it, and
how much is it?
Oh, it wants me to. Oh, it's UK.
It's
UK only.
Kingdom, that's right.
Free shipping in the UK though. So $14 for a deck, if this is your style, really isn't bad. The back design is definitely needs a rework though. It's definitely, you can tell it's built for a drinking game, but I think the inclusion of standard cards, there's a lot more that could go into it that didn't. So good luck.
Good luck. Hummingbird feathers mimics the shimmer of a hummingbird in motion. Meticulously created with a specialized printing process using multiple holographic foils. Stunning tuck design and sculpted embossing with master letterpress creation. Featuring limited standard and gilded 3-deck sets. Pre-order yours today at marvelousdecks.com.
All right, Steve. What are you backing this week?
Bro, I'm budgeting this week.
All right.
I'm gonna lay low.
So I think on my end, I'm about this Shinto Neko deck. I dig it. I still want to know who the printer is, but I'll keep an eye on this. If they update the printer, I'd be 100% down for backing this. Pixel Kingdom, I love the deck. I love the artwork. I'd back that. And Imperial, that's my style. Majestic Imperial luxury playing cards. It's my jam.
Jam it up, buddy.
Yeah. But guys, let us know below what you are interested in backing this week. We're obviously always curious to see what ones really caught your eye. And I think there was a good mix of different styles this week, which we don't always see. So let us know below what decks you're interested in backing, what things in the campaigns you think could be improved even, and where there were any points of confusion, because I think it's always interesting to hear where other people thought they could have been a little more clear.
Yeah, let us know below if you think what I said at 0 is more of what you do, or if you're going with Tyler and picking up the Neko and the other two. I think there's definitely good amount of variations this week, which is kind of cool. It's not all really intricate, ornate designs. It's kind of all over the place with pizza and majestic, and it's pretty cool to see.
Yeah. Well, thanks everyone for checking out this episode of Deckin Around Kickstarter Edition. Make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We drop these every Monday, so make sure to keep an eye out.
Peace.